Hello and welcome to ETH Insights exclusive interview series. Today we have with us Mr. Satish Sundaresan. He is the VP Global Strategy and Managing Director of Elektrobit India. Satish, thank you for your time and speaking to ETH Insights.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Let me begin by asking you, when global auto players they want to set up a market in India, what are the unique opportunities and challenges they see in this market?
So I'll start with how the ecosystem looks like in India.
Right.
So firstly, we have end consumers who are tech savvy, which means that you want to carry your digital life experience from your home to your vehicle seamlessly. So you want to have just about everything that you
Right.
had at home on your mobile phone in your car. So that's one extreme end of the needs. Then you have a certain societal strata in India which is still very price sensitive. So this means that you need to have everything that a vehicle can offer at a certain price point. I'll take an example. So
Right.
sunroof, for example, is a very, very popular
Yes.
feature demand. Now you can argue, why do you need sunroof? But then you need it in just about every car that you buy. So that's how the extremities of our society or the automobile industry in India is. Which means that the challenge is always the price point, the sensitivity to price, and the volatility of what the consumers want.
Right.
But herein lies also the opportunity. We are growing in terms of automotive sales, so whether it's car or motorbikes. So you have the possibility to cater to niche segments of customers. Potentially, you have the possibility to sell a specific product in a certain, let's say, area of field in a certain part of India,
Right.
and still be successful. So opportunities are there. Of course, with trends like connected, shared, and electrified mobility, you have even newer segments coming up which can potentially be exploited.
Right. Now, obviously, for a global player, when they come to a new market, here we are talking about India, there is always this domestic market that is there, the local market. So, how does international players look at domestic players? Is it a competition, or probably they can leverage them and collaborate with them knowing their local knowledge?
Actually, we have all kinds of use cases. So
Right.
you have examples where you have manufacturers who have looked at India and said, I can sell whatever I have globally, maybe older, obsolete products. Has it worked? In certain cases, it has also worked. Then you have OEMs who have said, I cannot compete in India, so I'll exit it altogether.
Right.
And then you have certain OEMs which have made sure they have collaborations with the Indian players. I guess the challenge for a global automotive OEM is they have a certain global supply chain. So they expect their global tier one suppliers to be able to provide parts even in an ecosystem like India. Now a tier one has its own strategy.
Right.
Why do I want to do business in a best cost or a low cost like India when I can export it out? So these strategies don't always fit together, and this is really the huge challenge for global OEMs in India. So we know that some global OEMs are looking to, as they call it, global for local. I mean, there's a term called global.
Right,
Yeah?
right.
So they try to bring in global tech with local collaborations, local manufacturing, and trying to see if that can be successful. So we have all examples. Time will tell. At the end of the day, I think it's the product that decides whether it will be successful or not.
Right. Obviously, when we're talking about, say, Electrobit, and we're talking about environmental friendly and sustainability. So, how do you see the Indian ecosystem with regards to sustainability? And it goes to all stakeholders. Obviously, the government, the private players, everyone have to come together to ensure that it's a seamless process. So, how do you see it being a global manufacturer?
I'll start with something completely non-automotive. Yeah. So now that the Cricket World Cup is going on,
Right.
we have a lot of news about pollution in
Yes.
not just Delhi but now also in Mumbai. Right.
Absolutely.
So, and there's a lot of factors talking about it is the El Nino factor. Although Bombay is a coastal city, somehow the air is still very polluted. And I was reading a report 2 days ago which said that's because Bombay is one of the most dense cities in terms of number of vehicles per kilometer. So there is a lot of pressure on the automotive industry.
Right.
To show that we can take care of topics like pollution and then extend beyond to sustainability, circularity, which
Right.
is basically what we are trying
Yes.
to get to. Now, again, these are extremes. The circularity is during my entire production process, any raw material that I use is somehow recycled.
Right.
Yeah? So I don't put
Yes.
anything back to, let's say, landfill. And then you have the other extreme where today we have internal combustion engines which are contributing quite actively
Right.
to pollution levels. So the opportunities to tackle all of this is quite huge. But for me, in terms of sustenance or sustainability, the first one is traffic discipline. And it has nothing to do with the automotive sector, it has to do with the end consumer.
Right.
So if I start driving with a certain discipline, automatically the average speeds on the roads will go up. So that's really
Sure.
the first part. And I'm really hoping that the agencies and people like me get better in terms of the mindset and the culture. The second one is renewable energies.
Right.
In India, unfortunately, although EV is a trend, which is good, I mean, in terms of pollutions, the source of power or electricity is still non-renewable. So
Right.
we're talking about fossil fuels.
Right.
So therefore, in the net score, me having an electric vehicle has probably no impact on the environmental damage. So we need to look at that part. That's really my favorite aspect, to say, what can I do there so that the EV adoption can then help
Right.
help the environment. Third is sustainable manufacturing. So we need to think about how am I going to reduce pollutions while I'm manufacturing things itself. Then there is shared mobility.
Right.
So I mean, as an automotive player, I don't want shared mobility to be that prevalent, because that means that the total light vehicle production forecast will come down. However, that's the only way to move forward. Before that, the government intervention. So if you have, for example, a metro system or a public transport system with predictable feeder services available, that's another way. So I'd definitely drop my vehicle to take a metro if I could just walk. And that means I should be able to walk safely. So pavements. So there's a lot of infrastructural issues which also needs to be set up so that people are encouraged to take mass transport. And last but not the least, for me, it's the public-private relationship or the partnership. So we need to educate, let's say, generations to come on what is it that we have to do from a transportation system.
Right.
So why do I need to take a public transport? Why do I need, let's say, a pavement? What can a private company do in terms of CSR investment? So these are all talks that need to happen for us to have a coordinated, sustainable future. Of course, in terms of battery management system, I mean, making sure that decomposition doesn't happen, those things will be taken care of by the industry and the government. But there needs to be a larger movement. That's at least how I see it.
Right, right. Let's come to Elektrobit. Obviously, you know, in this market, are there any key strategies you're looking at in terms of growth and development now and maybe in a near future? How do you see it evolving?
Yeah. So from a Elektrobit perspective, we are looking to see what key trends of automotive can I bank on. So electrification is one of them.
Right.
So with electrification, we feel that the proliferation of software and the value of software in the vehicle goes up. And in India, electrification is probably at its prime in the two-wheeler segment.
Right.
So that's really our focus area. So that's one part in terms of the segment that we want to operate in. Then, so we are a middleware player. So in the middleware player, what can I do beyond traditional standardized architecture? So India is not exactly ecosystem where manufacturers use software standards. So
Right.
we have something called
Yes.
AutoSAR, which is the middleware. So we are trying to see if we can become a player there. We are talking about open source as a means to create more awareness. We are trying to see what is it that we can bring, which can be adopted as a platform approach. So not having to do, let's say, a software-defined design every time from the scratch for every model, but for a platform. So a platform typically would be my entire vehicle platform.
Right.
Could be also a segment of vehicles. So this is what we are trying to work towards. And given what we spoke about, the fact that you want all kinds of digital life experiences, cyber security, and then most importantly, software lifecycle management becomes extremely important. Now, when you get to that point, you will realize that a vehicle hardware dependence is probably a bit too much today. So how can I have various features and software being implemented for 15 years if my hardware remains constant? And that's where we are now trying to see how we can bring in our experience on the software-defined vehicle approach, also leading to potentially virtualized platforms, trying to reduce the time to market and the overall costs for our OEM customers. So that's where we are from an Indian ecosystem perspective.
Right, right. Satish, on that note, thank you very much for your wonderful insights. I wish you all the best for all your future endeavors. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.